signing Ms. Devita Sulistiana, SSE MPD, the Dean of English Department in Islamic University of Baghdad, and then signing Ms. Nita Sutanti MPD, the head in English Department of Islamic University of Baghdad, and then for examiner Mr. Supriyono MPD, and then Ms. Dian Fadilawati MPD. Thank you for advance for the time and place. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rama Garita for English Department, Faculty of the Teacher Training and Education in Islamic University of Baghdad. Today I will do a presentation about my thesis proposal. The title is Developing the Digital Pilot Scheme for Learning Vocabulary in Junior High School. In the chapter 1, there are any structure of my presentation and four chapter in this presentation. There is chapter 1 in introduction, chapter 2 is literature study, and then chapter 3 is research methodology, and then the last chapter 3 is reference. And then chapter 1 introduction, they are include in background of the study, statement of research problem, objective of the research, significance of the research, scope and limitation of the research, and definition of the key term. In the chapter 2 literature study, there are any review and analysis of related literatures, theories, related researches, and theoretical thinking. And then in chapter 3, in the research methodology, any research approach and design, research framework and product design plan, product design validation, product tryout, product evaluation, and product definition and publication. In the chapter 1 introduction, step 1 is background of the study. And the background of the study is in any policy study, field study, literature study, potential solution, potential of and problem, and requirement and potential. There are any in the policy study for permanent put number 35 in year 2020. In the field study, interview teacher and student. In literature of study, the theory is a game for learning vocabulary, and research result using pilot scheme to increase student vocabulary. In the potential solution, in here in designing and digital pilot schemes can increase student vocabulary. In the potential and problem, based on research, there are problems in learning vocabulary, digital games that can increase student vocabulary. Okay, and then in the chapter 1.2 is the statement of the problem. Based on the background description above, then several the problems that can be found are as follow. Is any three. And number 1 is how is the model of pilot scheme for teaching and learning the 8th grade student vocabulary in junior high school. And number 2 is how is appropriateness of develop pilot scheme for teaching and learning vocabulary to 8th grade student in junior high school. And number 3 is how are the teacher and student respond toward the use of pilot scheme for teaching and learning vocabulary to the 8th grade student in junior high school. Okay, and then in chapter 1 in introduction is 1.3 is objective of the study. In accordance with the formulation of the problem discussed above, the objective of the research are 3 is to establish the model of pilot scheme for teaching and learning the 8th grade student vocabulary in junior high school, and then to find out appropriateness of develop pilot scheme for teaching and learning vocabulary to the 8th grade student in junior high school, and then to know the teacher and student respond toward the use of pilot scheme for teaching and learning vocabulary to the 8th grade student in junior high school. Okay, next is in the chapter 1, 1.4, a significance of the study. In the result is the explain to provide benefit in the front of one is a theoretical significance of the result. In here is in there this result is develop media for teaching and learning vocabulary to the 8th grade student in junior high school. And number 2 is particle significance of the result for the student. The result of this study are expected to become one of the media that can help learning vocabulary, especially for the student in class 8 in junior high school. And then for the teacher, can help teacher apply various techniques in teaching vocabulary so that students are motivated and interested in learning. And last for school, this research expand to provide a proper donation to school, especially in the digital game, in order to improve motivation, quality, and learning outcomes for English vocabulary. And to other researchers, this study can be used by future researchers as reference to conduct research and on different topics. And the next is chapter 1 in 1.5 is scope and limitation of the study. Based on the identification of the above problem, the researchers of limitation to the scope of the research is developed to pilot scheme for the teaching and learning vocabulary to the 8th grade student in junior high school in second semester. Furthermore, the researchers limit the research on developing the pilot scheme for learning vocabulary to 8 students on KD 4.8 in junior high school. And then in 1.6 is a definition of key term. In there, this part will explain about definition which used in the research to avoid missing understanding. Okay. In a chapter 2. Chapter 2 is a literature of study. This chapter can explain about theoretical review and analysis. In the tool 1.1, definition of vocabulary, difficulties of vocabulary, and definition of games. Okay, in the 2.2, we can see is the review of later previous researches. I previous of the research by number 1 is Anugrah Satya in 2016. And the title is The Effectiveness of the Treasure Hunt Game for Teaching Vocabulary and Experimental Study at SMP Muhammadiyah 3 Purwokerto. And then I previous research by Ning Aan Aningsi, the 2017. The title is The Implementation of the Treasure Hunt Game in Learning English Vocabulary at the First Grade. And I previous research by Nur Fatima in 2020. The use of the Treasure Hunt Game toward the student vocabulary mastery at Islamic Senior High School. And then is can see in the theoretical thinking framework here in any potential and problem, and then the theoretical, and then product, tryout, and impact to construct to solve. We can see in the potential and problem, designing a digital game. They are a pirate's game can increase student vocabulary, and then we can preface of the theory by Richard and Renanda 2002, and number 255 is a vocabulary is a core component of language processing and provides much of the basic for how learners speak, listen, and read and write. And the second theory by Pransky 2006, affirmed the play game is our brain favorite way of learning things. Thus, learning something new by playing games can be one of the most interesting and effective ways. And the next is product, try out, and we can, the impact. And then my hypothesis in 2.4 is based on the literature review step earlier. The research hypothesis can be stated as follows. There is significant effect of using games to learn vocabulary. Okay, in the chapter 3 is the research methodology, and there and in the 3.1 is research approach and design. We can see a research approach any two step and to each step is a qualitative approach and quantitative approach. The meaning of qualitative approach is inflow collection and analyzing non-numeric data to understand concept, opinions, or experience. It can be used to greater in the deep insight into a problem or generate new ideas for researchers. The meaning of quantitative approach is the process of collecting and analyzing numerical data. It can be used to find pattern, averages, make prediction, test causal relationship, and generalized research to wider population. Uh, because I still learn in chapter 1 and 2. In the chapter 3, I will to show about a little bit in the research methodology. There 3.1 is research approach and design, and you can learn about research design or R&D, and then we can preface the of the theory by Sugiono 2014 in chapter 407, and then research framework and procedure because I still learn about this. I can explain. I want to show you about the next chapter in the research methodology is in the 3.3 is product design plan. There are any three steps, yeah, in phase and research, phase is potency problem and its analysis, and the phase 2 is product design and development, and the 3 product detail model and specification. Okay, and the next chapter is product design validation, and the next is 3.5 is based the two researchers is product tryout, and the next product evaluation, and then product information and recognition, and then product publication, and then the last is reference. Maybe that's it for my presentation about my thesis proposal. Thank you all for attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.